at least until the season's over. Kansas State. I know plenty of fans are interested in what we have to say about K State. They just won a big game on the road, the first road game that they've won in a long time, since early January when they beat Baylor in Texas in back-to-back games. They've lost every road game since then until they went to Stillwater and took care of business in a fun game. They took care of business 73-68 in a place that's not easy to play. And I think they showed a lot of resilience. We saw some really good stuff from both stars that we like to talk about, Marquise Noel and Keontae Johnson.
Yeah, and I'm starting to. We were watching the game together actually, and I'm really becoming a big fan. Was Desi Seals, man.
Big piece.
Yeah, when you look at the stat sheet, it may not look like he scores the most amount of points or has just like a crazy stat line, but if you watch the games, man, you notice that the times where he delivers, the times where he's scoring or making a big defensive play are at pivotal moments of the game, and I'm just like, dude, this guy is a key piece to this Wildcat team for sure.
And he's a team first dude. I mean, we're talking about a guy a veteran that's been he played at Arkansas his first couple years in college basketball, then went to Arkansas State, so obviously has some strong ties to that state and grew up there in Jonesboro, actually. So, but when he came to K-State, I mean, we talked about this before. Before he even got to campus, coaches were sending him, not highlights, but practice footage so he could start to get up to speed before he got to campus, because he was a late arrival thanks to some school stuff he had to finish up in the summer to make sure that his credits would transfer and stuff like that. Once that happened, once I knew he was coming to campus, I was like, this could be a pretty good squad based on the other guys that they picked up, like Keontae Johnson and such. Desi Seals was a key piece, and he was, doing six-man stuff for the longest, because Jerome Tang said after the last home game that or it was 2 home games ago actually, when he finally got to start, he said he could have started a long time ago. They wanted to make sure he could still get the six-man of the year award in the league, which is a certain amount of games that you can start that takes away that award, So he figured, Coach Tang figured out the amount of games that he has to play off the bench. He hit that number, and Coach Tang said, we're putting you in the starting lineup because you're that good. What do you think about that
I think that's pretty cool that Coach Tang, did that for him and wants to give him a shot at winning six-man of the year. And talking about, you mentioned that he was a late arrival. I think it speaks to his commitment to still make sure that he shows up, even though he's, showing up late, to make sure that he shows up and he's prepared. He was looking at, film that the coaches were sending him from their practices. I heard he was really just staying ready, just making sure that preparation level was there and not using his late arrival as an excuse by any means. Now, some people may think, oh, that's what you're supposed to do. You're playing college ball, but you'll be surprised. Not a lot of people, not a lot of players have that commitment to the game. So it just speaks to how, him and his coaches that he had growing up, making sure that he prioritized commitment. And it's not a coincidence that he came to K-State and he's doing what he's doing on the basketball court. So, man, I'm a fan. I've been seeing him ball out, show up consistently for us. And yeah, I'm looking forward to how he does the remainder of the year.
He's a lefty. If you haven't found out yet, I'm a lefty, so I have a little soft spot for lefties as well. Yeah. And he's so quick with the basketball in his hands. The only thing that he struggled with somewhat is consistently shooting the three. But, man, he does everything else at such a good level. He attacks the basket on offense really well. He's a good facilitator for a shooting guard, an off guard. And the thing he's brought to this team more than anything else, I think, is his defensive intensity. Has made him one of the best defenders on a team that I think has some quality defenders like Marquise Noel, who does a really good job at his size. And he had, I think, 3 or 4 steals today. Desi Seals, he does his job on defense. He gets about 30 minutes a game, which is starter minutes. He's been that way all season long. Now he's finally starting. And he had a solid game. And he's going through some stuff, it's not, some easy things that, that I think that the type of things that I think college basketball players have to go through.
Mm-hmm.
And, this could be a trying time for him right now, but he's showing up, and he had 10 points on 3 of 7 shooting in Stillwater. Because I'm not going to get into the details of anything, because that's, private stuff with the team. But he's showing up, and ever since he started, I think he adds, good defense right away on that end, and then really solid ability to just get to the rack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I'm noticing too. So, and it's good. It is good that he's with us on the team, providing that defensive presence that we need, along with Marquise Noel. Keontae shows some. Obviously, we know what he can do, but I really admire his defense as well. So, yeah, man, a good piece. A guy I think is definitely shows some great mental toughness. I think this Wildcat team has shown a lot of great mental toughness, showing up and delivering at key moments in games. That's just another reason outside of me being a K-State alum. That's just another reason why I love this team. Outside of all that bias.
Yeah, we're both K-State grads, so we bleed that purple through and through.
That's right.
Well, I still try to
Purple
write
and
for
white.
it. But yeah, no, check out K-State online. Check out On3 if you haven't, because that's where I write stuff and about K-State. So I would love for you to come over to that website and check out what I'm writing and the guys I work with over there. But I do love talking about K-State with my guy over here.
Sure.
We got to talk about Keontae Johnson today.
Yeah.
He had such an efficient game.
Mm-hmm.
And, he hasn't been he's been one of the dudes that can sometimes get taken advantage of on the defensive end for K-State, just because he doesn't have as quick a feet as some of the other guys out there. But I think he's also very smart in where he uses his energy, because he knows he is most useful on the offensive end. And that's why he shows up so much on that end. He's just so efficient. And I knew this coming in out of Florida. Just watching his highlights at Florida, you could tell he picks his spots so wisely. He does not force many things. He comes to K-State. That's exactly the player he is. 17 points. And I think that's a perfect compliment for a guy like Marquise Noel, who isn't afraid to be a volume shooter and be a guy that misses a lot of shots. Keontae balances that out with really efficient shooting. And it shows up. 7 of 13 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3. He's been shooting the 3 so good this year.
His shot was looking so nice today.
Off the bounce too. Yeah, he's got everything in his bag offensively.
And one word that I'll use to describe Keontae Johnson: motor. Like I said, yeah, he may have what you say he don't have the quickest feet, but he's going to bring that motor every single night, that energy, and I feel like it's contagious and trickles on down to the rest of the players on the team. So I'm a really big fan of Keontae Johnson. Very resilient guy. All of you all heard the story, and he's working with a lot of he always brings the energy, and I love it.
And I'll say too, because a good point about his motor, because that's not something a lot of people bring up about him, but that's a great point.
Motor, man.
Because we're talking about a dude that played 39 minutes and just played efficient basketball the whole time. You can't do that without a motor, without being able to stay fresh. And he knows what he is so good at out there. He rebounds the basketball too, which is important on that end, defensive end. So he does have that ability. But when he gets going on offense, he's hard to stop. And so is Marquise Noel. That man had 38 minutes, 22 points, 5 of 12 shooting from the field, 3 of 8 from the three-point line, which is good to see from him to, connect from there. He actually he really shot the three-pointer well last game. But something he's been doing amazingly the last couple weeks is getting to the free throw line and converting, especially late in games. He went 9 of 10 today after going 10 of 10 from the free throw line last game. Just
for the whole
19
season,
of 20.
89% from the free throw line.
It's not easy.
No.
When can we get? Because he's even brought up how Steph Curry's obviously a huge factor in a role model, growing up. Because we see where Marquise Noel is really kind of like the college version of what Steph does in the NBA. He's not afraid to pull up from way deep if you leave him open. And Noel's brought up that, he wants to meet Steph. I've tried to tweet out saying, hey, Steph, you better check out what Keys is doing, because this is some, real good stuff. And, he had his slump, in some of the month of January and February, but he's starting to get it back. He's starting to find his groove back again, which is huge because we've talked about it. He's the arrow of this team, and that continues to prove itself true.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, you feel a similarity when it comes to Desi Seals being a lefty. I feel that, I draw a lot of inspiration from Marquise Noel because he's a small guy. I'm a small guy. We're both probably the same height.
Yep.
5'8"? Yeah, just go ahead and give us 5. Just go ahead and give us 5'8". We'll say we're both 5'8". But man, dude, like we talked about it in the previous episode. Or maybe was it episode 2?
We talked in 3. We talked about it in every episode, really. But we really hounded it on that last episode, and you made a little clip about it on our Instagram. Check out our Instagrams.
Yeah. Check us out. But click on the handle. It'll probably be in the video. But anyways, he was in a slump. But we knew he was going to come out because he's been through so much already. It's not easy playing Big 12 Division I basketball at his size, and it was just another challenge that he was facing, going through that slump. But as we've seen in the last 2 games, man, he's been shaking off the rust. Even though in the previous game, who did we play again? I know we just last game.
It was it all meshes up with me too. We played Baylor, beat Baylor, which is just Baylor. A massive game. Yeah,
offensively. Keith didn't have the sexiest game or whatever, but because assists are a part of offense too. But as far as scoring the ball, his field goal percentage wasn't great, but he was breaking his defenders down. He was getting into the lane, making somebody come off of their man and dishing to somebody and picking up those assists. So that's why he finished the game with 10 assists against Baylor. Ended up catching their rhythm at the end of the game because they kept sending them to the line. And then he bounced back today with an efficient game from the floor. Against Oklahoma State. So I really like how the Wildcats are looking, and we have 2 more games before they go to the Big 12 tournament. And man, I hope they continue to go into. I hope they go into the Big 12 tournament in rhythm.
That's the thing, and you mentioned it. 10 assists for Keith, 0 turnovers. Thanks to Tom Gilbert for letting us know that no other Wildcat has ever done that. 10 assists without a turnover, which is really incredible for a guy too.
Yeah,
that's been hounded on by K-State fans and other people for his turnovers. Because during the slump, when they did lose some games, back-to-back games to Texas Tech and Oklahoma, he was turning it over way too much. In this game, guess what? He turned it over way too much, but he shot it efficiently. When he's shooting it efficiently while turning it over too much, they can still win basketball games because he had 7 turnovers. That's a lot of turnovers. But guess what? He's still in a positive assist-to-turnover ratio because he had 8 assists. And then throw in on defense the team leading and probably game-high 4 steals. Those 7 turnovers are the big blemish on his game, but everything else he did really well, and they don't win that game without those other things.
Yeah, he's a smaller guy, so yeah, it's gonna probably be some games where he has high turnover games, and usually the turnovers are attack turnovers where he's just trying to, if that makes sense. He's not being careless with the ball ever. He's just trying to make a play on the end, and sometimes that's where his height can be a disadvantage.
That's true.
But you know what? We see that, that didn't hold him back from having a good game. He's still pretty efficient. He still managed to get 8 assists. So yeah, Wildcat fans, please, take it easy. Take it easy on Keys.
And when they're winning, I think Wildcat fans are still going to take it easy on him. But it's funny because during games, Wildcat fans will tear into them because of the turnovers when they start piling up
on Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter is the place where fans love to tear into people, and K-State fans are respectful enough.
Yeah.
But sometimes they do throw some stuff out there that pisses me right off.
Right.
I won't lie. Just because I can't. Because I understand from a fan's perspective. I get it. You're on Twitter. You don't know these people at all, that are playing. So I get why it might be easy to tweet something about someone you don't even know personally. Because I've done it before, no doubt, about professional players, all the time. Yes.
Yeah.
I think everyone's done it if you're a sports fan and you have a Twitter or a Facebook or whatever. But once in my position, once I start to get to know these guys, I did it with Bruce Weber. That was clear. I stayed on his side through it all. When fans attacked him from the jump. And sometimes I already felt like I had to do it with Jerome Tang when they were losing 2 games on the road, and people were saying he should be embarrassed when the season. Besides those, I mean, I get pointing out criticisms, but using words like embarrassed and stuff it's just not a good look, especially when these people are on these platforms. And when they see that, you think they're thinking, "Oh wow, good thing he said that. I'm gonna go." Think Jerome Tang is getting motivation because someone said he should be embarrassed? No, you look sorry doing shit like that. So let's keep it real like that. So, but anyway, get off my
position you're in and the position I'm in as a mental performance coach. I have more empathy. It's not. People think it's just because that's the thing. You spend so much time preparing for competition or spend so much time doing something that you're really good at or do professionally that you're just supposed to do things easily. You're supposed to be perfect in these areas, but it's a lot of other mental factors that go into people performing at a high level. So I get frustrated too when I see certain tweets, and especially when they're calling people out, like how you just said.
I mean, you probably see it a lot since you're a Lakers fan. You probably follow Lakers Twitter. That's the thing. I'm talking about K-State fans. Listen, they annoy me sometimes, but that don't even scratch the surface what fans can be like in professional levels and stuff like that.
Yeah, man, spoiled brat sometimes. Yeah. Let's just call it what it is. But if you really take a look at what these people are doing, I'm speaking about collegiate and professional athletes. Like you'll know, it's just not. You just can't, play at a high level on a snap of a finger. It's a lot of stuff that goes into it. So K-State fans, be patient with the team. You can't expect them to be perfect every time. Know that you have a head coach who is doing the best that he can to make sure these boys go out and perform at a high level each night. And you got players who care and want to win and want to get it. I think they're thinking championship, winning the NCAA title. And I know that's not, it doesn't come easy, right? It's a long, long process. But you better believe that that's their goal.
Oh, yeah.
So respect that. Understand that they're trying to get to that point and sit back, relax, and enjoy them doing what they do best.
Coach Rodney Perry had a podcast with Coach Carter before the season.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
And the real coach. I seen him actually
in the Negro League Baseball Museum.
Yeah.
In Kansas City. Shout out to that place.
Oh, yeah.
That place is awesome.
Amazing.
And they had a really cool little interview in there on YouTube. Mm-hmm. I'll tell everyone they should check that out. Rodney Perry is on there, and catches Coach Carter off guard because he's saying, like, what do you expect in year one, as an assistant at K-State? It's like, Coach Perry says we're thinking national championship. We're not, we're thinking Big 12 championship, national championship, no in-betweens. Mm-hmm. You get the season started and things can change, but of course that's the vision, especially for teams that want to, reach that goal. Like that's the vision you set up for yourself. And right now, they don't have the best road to a Big 12 championship because Kansas is really doing work. They're actually playing right now, which I should have that game on just so we can keep an eye on that score because that'll be interesting. If they can take care of West Virginia, it'll make it that much harder for K-State or Texas to sneak in and win that Big 12 title. Mm-hmm. But K-State's on a 2-game win streak, or what are we at? 2 or 3 game win streak right now. Mm-hmm. That's just has K-State rocking and rolling right now. I mean, we're talking about, yes, they had that bad stretch where they went on the road trip against 2 teams that happen to be on the up and up. Texas Tech has an opportunity to sneak into the tournament if they keep winning games. Mm-hmm. So the Big 12 is just tough. And I think K-State today, there's such a massive win to be able to prove that they can win on the road again in the Big 12. Yeah. And because they're going to have to do it again. I mean, they don't have to, but if they want to, maybe win that Big 12 title, they're going to have to do it again in Morgantown in the final regular season game next week.
And you better believe they can do it again. Yeah. you better believe that they believe they can do it again.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, I love the way that they're playing right now, and I do believe that they'll keep it up. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I mean, that's the thing is I don't know how much longer we need to talk about K-State. I do want to point out. I do want to just real quick touch on like where they're at in the conference and stuff.
Yeah.
That's real important, obviously. And, yeah, so that win pushes them to 10-6 on the conference season, which is incredible. 10 wins is really not easy to do. I think Bruce Weber did it 2 or 3 times in his career at K-State, maybe 4 times. I can't remember exactly.
It was one of those years when we went to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, yep. One of those years, yep, because they won the Big 12 championship the year after that, actually. The year they went to the Elite Eight, I think they did win 10, maybe 9. But regardless, winning 9 or 10 games in the Big 12 the last 10 years has been really tough to do. Really tough to do. And it's just not easy to do. So the fact Jerome Tang is doing this in his first year already, he's got 10 wins, 22-7 overall. Just really good stuff. But they're sitting 3rd in the conference right now. Kansas is sitting at 1st at 11-4. So there's still a possibility. Kansas is playing right now. They're playing West Virginia right now. It's 73-68 with about 3 minutes left in the game. Obviously, if you're a K-State fan, I mean, even if most K-State fans are rooting against Kansas no matter what, but right now you're definitely rooting against Kansas if you want the seeding to come out in K-State's favor, and maybe they can sneak out a Big 12 championship.
You know what? I think we are going to win the Big 12 championship, and I want to go through KU. That's how I feel. That's just how I feel as a fan. Okay, that just may be my heart speaking, but in reality, we do have a very good chance. You know what I'm saying? You saw how we played them in Bramlage. Yes, you know we felt Allen Fieldhouse is a tough place to play, and we fell short that game. But you know, if
and we beat them in Manhattan. We've already played them twice.
Yeah,
we split those 2 games.
Split them. So I like our chances if we see him in the Big 12 tournament, man.
Ooh, I hope that happens.
I hope it happens too. I hope it happens too. So that's all I'm saying. Just a side note.
How many side note on that? Yeah. How many K-State fans want to see that? Because I bet you it's about split. Because some would be super nervous about a matchup, 3rd matchup with Kansas. Others, are like us, are hungry for that rematch to see who truly is the better team, because that's the rubber match, you call it. Yeah. You know, split 2 games, the 3rd game, that would be a fun matchup in Kansas City too.
What Jerome Tang said?
We hungry.
He said expect to win.
Exactly.
You remember that?
He said that right away.
That's how I said that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Expect to win.
Expect to win. And so if we see him, we see him.
And you know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because I can point out. I'll take some back of what I said about K-State fans sometimes being too passionate or whatever. I mean, Jerome Tang put a target on his back right away by saying that kind of stuff. That's some confident talk. Expect to win. He's a confident guy. So I can understand when you start 6-1 in conference play and then you lose to some of the basement dwellers of the league on the road, that you can start to, get upset. But at the same time, hey, they win it. 22 games overall, 10 in conference. Big win today. We'll see what happens with Kansas. They finish the season out, the Jayhawks do, with Texas Tech in Texas. So not the toughest road in the world. Texas, their last game of the season is in Austin. That will be a massive game for them, because Texas is also fighting for a Big 12 championship. They're number 2 in the conference, sitting at 11-5. And I'll just say right now, last thing for K-State, unless you want to add anything else, K-State has winnable games here to finish out the regular season. Could go out with 12 wins in Big 12, which is just incredible stuff for a first-year head coach. But Oklahoma at home, got that on Tuesday. And then, that's actually a Wednesday game this week. I think it's the first Wednesday game they've really played much this year, if I'm not mistaken. And then West Virginia in Morgantown on that, a week from today on Saturday. So that's how they're going to finish out the regular season. We both think that they can get both dubs because, first of all, those are vulnerable teams. But again, West Virginia is not easy to beat on the road. They have 5 conference wins, and they're
Sure.
playing Kansas tough right now.
Yep. See us looking over. We've got the game on right here.
It does look like Kansas is going to come out with this, though. They got a 7-point win.
Yeah.
Make that 5-point lead, I mean.
Yep, a minute 44 to go. So we'll see what happens. But yes, I expect us to get the next 2 wins. And, you know, another side note, I expect Jerome Tang to get Coach of the Year as well.
There we go. That's a good.
Jerome Tang, Coach of the Year.
That's a good drop at the end of this discussion about Kansas State, because I agree, he deserves it. I think the only other guy you can maybe point out, I think, is Kelvin Sampson at Houston. Number 1 team in the country. What they're doing is incredible stuff. Bill Self's also been talked about as player of the country, but if you're going to give it to Bill Self, who's amazing, you know, one of the best coaches of all time, for his, you know, 11-win season so far in the Big 12, he's probably going to win the conference. If Jerome Tang is just behind him in Bill Self's however many years he's been coaching at Kansas, I think Jerome Tang deserves that Coach of the Year based on incredible first-year stuff. And, you know, his buddy at Scott Drew said the same thing after K-State beat Baylor. His buddy said he's the Coach of the Year, and I'm not just saying that because he's my bro. So, yep, DeJuan Harris is limping off the court. That could be a massive storyline.
Yeah, my facial expression probably showed it all there. I'm saying, looking at him limping over to the bench.
Yeah, see, that's...
looks like an ankle.
But, you know, I've seen him limp off the court. In Manhattan, he limped off the court and came right back in. And honestly, the few minutes that he missed were key and a big reason I think K-State won that game. He's a really good player. DeJuan Harris doesn't get the credit he deserves because he's not the flashiest point guard like a Frank Mason. But he gets it done defensively. He's one of the best defensive guards in the league.
17 points, 5 assists. You was talking about defense, 6 steals.
That's it. That's his bread and butter. But he has stepped it up offensively. I think he's been hitting threes more. Not to gush about Kansas so much, but they're easy to gush about because they have such a great team. Jalen Wilson's probably the player of the year.
Yeah. But we got nothing to. We don't have nothing to worry about. We can give them their credit.
No, exactly. That's a great point.
We ain't fearing anything.
Exactly. And that's a Jerome Tang kind of mindset.
Game, you know
what Jerome Tang said after we beat them in Manhattan?
What's that?
This is the last time y'all are storming the court. He said this is he got up there with a microphone, said, hey, enjoy this now.
Yeah, right.
Bands have been great, but this is the last time y'all are ever gonna, you know, storm the court.
And that was right before he said expect to win. Okay, yeah. Hey. I'm glad I got to experience the court storm freshman year. I remember that. But anyway, I don't want to go off topic, but we can talk about that in another episode. But
I know. Storming the court is great, and I feel bad for anyone if Jerome Tang sticks around for 20 years that doesn't get to experience it. Yeah. But I do also like the mindset Jerome Tang has with that kind of thing, because I agree. Like, it's kind of little brotherish mindset to storm the court just because you beat Kansas. They want to make it a normal thing, beating the rival Kansas. Exactly. They don't want to put Kansas on a pedestal. And I think that's a great mindset to have. Not putting opponents on a pedestal, because that's just how you already get beat before the game even starts, you know?
Only got to put yourself on a pedestal.
Exactly.
That way you're focused on just getting better each and every day. Those failures that you were talking about, going on when they were in that little slump, guess what? They didn't be like, oh, this is horrible. We're not the team that we thought that we were. No, they went back and looked at those games, look at some of the mistakes they made, and then came back the next day, whether it was practice or a game that they had, and did better, and just grew from there. And that's all you can do. So I feel like we put ourselves up on a pedestal. We got that ultimate goal, that national title, and we're going for it, man.
Some people could say that the peak of this Kansas State team was when they went 6-1 in the conference. I'm beginning to believe the peak is still coming. I think the peak is still coming. They went through that low, and I think the highs are just beginning. I mean, I know you and I are a couple of optimistic people, and we get together, the optimism pours out even more. But I'm not going to say they're going to sit here and go to a Final Four, but if what I'm saying is true and they are peaking at the right time here at the end of the season, they could do some big things, like maybe win a a Big 12 tournament. This team that K-State's got right now would not shock me to see them win it. Wouldn't be easy against, these tough teams in the league, but it wouldn't shock me to see this kind of team win the Big 12 tournament, which is a goal that they have. And then, if they win that, catapult them into possibly getting to a Sweet 16. Because if anything in the second weekend, if they could even get to just that second weekend, the Sweet 16 and lose, then it's already an amazing season. Shoot, lose first round, it's already an amazing season based off of what they did in the regular season, and how it's a first-year head coach. I know that won't make many fans happy if they lose first round, but the point is, if what I'm saying is true, they're not going to lose first round. This team is peaking, I think, at the right time, whereas I think Kansas is peaking right now. I think Kansas is peaking at this very moment, although West Virginia is making this very interesting.
Sorry, y'all, yeah, the game is going on, but yeah.
But they're on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-game win streak. Kansas had their slump, a couple weeks ago and almost a month ago now. I think they're peaking now, and it's not a bad time for Kansas to peak, but I'm just not positive that I could see Kansas burning out, but come tournament time, and maybe being a Jayhawk. This one of these few Jayhawk teams that doesn't make it to the second weekend. Is that the K-Stater in me saying that stuff? Maybe. Because Bill Self is that man. I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah.
And they have some players like